Hi everyone, this is Paul here from the Magdalene Centre. Today I'm doing an astrology report for the week commencing the 13th of March. Now, we're outlining some of the key aspects and transits taking place this week and giving an overview of what it all means. Before I do that, I just want to clarify, as I always do, that the astrology doesn't control our lives. It gives us a framework to help us understand what's unfolding around us, helps us to identify what kind of key lessons are there to be learnt at this time and where the opportunities for growth are. But for anything to actually come about of it, requires our participation, i.e. taking action in alignment with the natural flow of events and guided by wisdom rather than just personal desire or our own personal needs at the expense of other people. Now, in terms of the aspects this week, I'll start off with the moon's transit as usual. So we begin with the moon in Gemini. So this is a time where I may feel that emotional need to connect with people, to work on our communication skills. But it's also time for gathering information and doing any kind of research in any projects that we're doing. It's a good time for kind of expanding the mind and working on communication skills. On Thursday, she'll enter her home sign of Cancer. So this is a good time for kind of focusing on nurturing ourselves and nurturing one another. So we may feel a need to kind of spend more time at home or just get more rooted within ourselves as a time to connect with our emotions and learn to let them flow and give them space so that our emotions are honoured. On Sunday, the moon will enter Leo, so this is time we may feel that desire to shine our own light or to embrace play and creativity and encourage other people to embrace that joyful energy of Leo, which is all about that playfulness, that creativity, that self-expression for the sake of it, and just embracing our authentic selves. Before on Tuesday, the moon will move into Virgo, and this is a time where it's about taking that creative energy of Leo and transforming it into acts of service. It's taking that creative energy and refining it. It's also dealing with the nuts and bolts of life, so establishing order in our lives to maximise our well-being and potentially looking at our physical and mental health in the process. Now, in terms of the other aspects this week, the sun is involved in all but one of them. So this week is very much an opportunity for us to understand ourselves better, so understand our core sense of self. But with it being in Pisces, this is also a good time for us to be letting go of any parts of ourselves or anything that we've defined ourselves so far that limit us. So it's letting go of any self-definitions that actually impede our authentic expression and limit our sense of who we are. And because we don't know who we are, then we've no idea what we're capable of, we've no idea just how much growth we're capable of achieving. So this is the whole week is very much geared towards shedding layers of ego, shedding layers of the self that keep us playing small, so that we make space for a new sense of self to emerge in the next astrological cycle, which begins next Wednesday when the sun enters Aries, bringing a close to the current astrological year and the beginning of a new one. So with the aspects taking place, we have first the sun sextile Pluto on Wednesday itself. So this aspect gives us an opportunity to face the core sense of who we are and use the power of Pluto, which polarizes things into positive and negative expressions, and stripping away what isn't empowering us anymore. So it's about stripping away any core fears or core issues that prevent us from stepping into our full potential, stepping into our full power. But understand, when I say power here, I don't mean our ability to manipulate or control our environment. I'm talking about that inner force that allows us to achieve self-mastery, where the true power lies on our ability to master our internal responses to external situations. So it's not about our ability to control the world around us, it's about our ability to control our response to it, because that's where our true power lies, is being able to choose our response to situations rather than being emotionally dependent or emotionally conditioned to react to situations outside us. It's also about facing the shadow within us. So this particular aspect gives us an opportunity to face any shadow desires that sabotage our efforts or keep us playing small without realizing it, and seizing this opportunity to shed them, to let go of those illusions, to let go of those aspects that cause us to engage in self-sabotage, or where we still define ourselves as victims. It's an opportunity to let go of that through embracing the power of forgiveness. So forgiveness may be a theme that helps us this week, or a tool to let go of old baggage, let go of old attachments, and let go of old wounds that keep us playing the victim. And this then empowers us into the next cycle, so that we have that sincere desire and that ability to take the action that's required to get our goals going, or get goals set in motion, so that we're actually starting to achieve something. On Thursday we have Mars is going to be trine to Saturn in Capricorn, so this aspect here gives us an opportunity for us to bring our actions and desires into line, or discipline them. So bring our actions and desires under control, to decide, okay, what long-term goals do we want to be achieving at this time, and what is the wisest course of action that's disciplined, controlled, and based on an understanding that actions have consequences. So we need to make sure that the actions that we're taking achieve the desired consequences without creating undesired side effects. So this is, in a sense, it boils down to whether we decide or choose our course of action motivated by love and love, wisdom, and understanding, and faith for that matter, or are our actions determined by fear? They're determined by conditioned responses, and are they driven by a desire to try and control things, because we associate control with security, even though really the notion of control is actually an illusion. We can't control the world around us, we can only control our response to it. But this is an opportunity for us to bring our actions and desires under control of a higher will, and to embrace or imbue our actions with discipline, patience, perseverance, and obviously kindness and love, and making sure it's also driven by honest desires or honest intentions, and an understanding of the broader consequences of taking actions motivated by fear or any of the base emotions, as opposed to motivated by love, wisdom, and understanding. On the same day we have the Sun square to Jupiter. So Jupiter in some respects would be the stronger of the two here, because he's in his home sign, but this aspect is about the challenge of recognising or learning to have faith in ourselves, because the Sun is obviously the main sense of self, and Jupiter is about belief, it's about faith, it's about higher understanding and attaining wisdom through recognising how the natural cycles impact everything, or how natural laws govern everything, and seeking to move into alignment with them. With this square to the Sun, one of the things we need to be mindful of is where Jupiter ends up manifesting as an expanding or an exaggerated ego, where the ego gets expanded rather than a sense of self-understanding and self-awareness, and it's to the point that it leads us to take actions which aren't particularly wise choice, or trying to take an action in order to prove ourselves, or to push our luck, rather than it actually being right for who we are. So in some respects we need to look to see, are there any self-worth or self-esteem issues that lead us to then try and overcompensate by taking very grandiose actions which are completely unnecessary and way out of proportion for what we're looking to achieve. And it's recognising these tendencies and letting go of them, and recognising that we need to have a key understanding of who we are, and we need to have it's through self-knowledge and self-awareness that we can then choose the right course of actions. It's also it's an opportunity to shine a light on our beliefs and see, what do our beliefs actually empower us, or are they actually limiting us now? Because we'll filter things through our own personal belief systems to some extent, whether we're aware of it or not. So it begs the question, what is our belief system motivated by love or fear, or faith and fear? So do we have a very fear-based worldview, where we fear everything, we think we have to try and control everything, or if any information is presented to us which directly challenges our fundamental beliefs, we feel threatened by it? Or do we have the faith to believe that everything that happens around us presents an opportunity for us to learn? So everything has a fundamental reason for it. We may not know the reason straight away. Sometimes reasons only present themselves months or years down the line as to why something happened. But the healthy manifestation of this is kind of, if something happens that's not particularly pleasant, rather than believing that we're victimised or something's out to get us, it's learned to see it as, well, this is an opportunity to learn where the holes in our awareness, where the holes in our belief systems, or where is there a limitation in our understanding that we need to push beyond in order to see things from a broader perspective. And it's looking to embrace that willingness to expand the mind, to see everything is ultimately working out for our higher good, as long as we're prepared to be humble and honest about it, and to seek to embrace a positive understanding, or always have that faith in ourselves to bounce back and see it as a lesson to be learned, so that we don't make the same mistake going forwards. On the same day, we've got the Sun trying to the North Node in North Node in Cancer, and the sextile South Node in Capricorn. So this gives us an opportunity to try and imbue the lessons of the nodal axis that we're all learning it from at the moment. So from Capricorn South Node, it's embracing things like hard work ethic and discipline, but it's also letting go of need to do something in order to try and get other people's respect. So it's not doing things in order to gain street cred or gain any respect from other people. It's learn to do it for the right reasons. And with the North Node in Cancer, this is about developing empathy, getting in touch with our core, so our feelings and what we truly want for ourselves. It's about getting in touch with our emotions, but at the same time not being overwhelmed by them. So it's getting in touch with our core, our inner compass. It lets us know what we actually want, as opposed to what we think we want based on what will bring us social acceptance. So the Sun's sextile to the South Node and trine to the North Node gives us an opportunity to address our relationship in this or our focus in this area, so we let go of needing to do things to try and get other people's approval or acceptance, or doing what's deemed socially acceptable, and instead identifying what do we actually want to achieve for ourselves, what goal would bring us a sense of lasting security, and what foundations do we need to build in our own lives. And it's also an opportunity for us to learn to embrace the journey and recognise that life is about the journey, not the destination. So we need to let go of the tendency to be so fixated on the goal that we forget to enjoy the process of getting there, and forget to maximise the amount of learning we can get along the way. So it's slowing down and learning to embrace each stage of the journey towards a specific goal, and to maximise the amount of learning and appreciation we can get from it, so we understand how we're growing as a person. And it's also learning to savour the goals when they are achieved, rather than just jumping straight to the next goal without looking back and seeing how far we've come as an individual. So that's the main thrust of the week, is on Wednesday and Thursday. So we do have the Sun will be forming an inconjunct to Pallas Athena on Sunday. So this is a time where we may feel that kind of Pallas Athena is retrograde this time, so it's all about that reflecting on balance. And Sun to Pallas Athena is about integrating thought, of embodying wisdom, and it's also about that embracing that creative process and embracing a more systemic level of thinking that allows us to see things as part of a whole and see how everything is interconnected. So it's moving beyond boxed thinking. It shatters those boxes and helps us to see how everything is interconnected. So with the Sun here, it's about seeking to embody that understanding at a higher level, and it's also embracing the more philosophical, that wisdom side of the mind, so the higher level of awareness that comes about. And it's also about bringing the inner masculine and feminine together within oneself, rather than trying to achieve it through relationship with other people. So, which is where we've projected one side of the polarity onto other people, and we're living it out through other people, as opposed to resolving it within. So, bringing the yin and our inner yin and inner yang together, and balancing them, and imbuing that into our sense of self-identity. So that's on Sunday. I hope this useful guide for the week. There's quite a bit going on, but the main thing to remember is this is a time for us to be letting go, because we've got the spring equinox next Wednesday, and the day after we have a powerful full moon, so the energy will be building up towards that. So this is an ideal time for letting go of the old, of spending time in some kind of meditation, or looking at what visions do we want to pursue forward. So this is identifying the seeds we want to plant. Oh, another thing that I've forgotten to mention, we have the Sun conjunct Mercury retrograde on Friday the 15th. So this is the midpoint of the Mercury retrograde, and it's symbolically, this is when the seeds of the new beginnings that Mercury retrogrades bring to surface get planted in the subconscious. We won't necessarily see the results of it until the end of the retrograde, when we start seeing it growing. But this is, with this being in Pisces, it's an opportunity. It's pretty much like the seed of new understanding of balancing the mind between the left and right brain, if you like. So Pisces is a very intuitive sign and very empathic sign, and it's about the psychic gifts, if you like. So this particular conjunction may well be the sowing the seed that allows us to balance left brain logic and reason with right brain intuition and psychic sensitivity, and it's learning to see things as a complete whole. So it's maximising the potential of the mind through healing ourselves of any illusions which trap or prevent our psychic abilities from operating properly, or prevent us from hearing our intuition correctly. And it's allowing intuition and reason to guide one another, rather than seeing them as opposites that are antagonistic. It's learning to see them as complementary. Both of them serve a function. Neither one of them is better or worse than the other. They both serve their role, but it's when they're brought together that the mind can achieve its maximum potential, as it were. So we're no longer at conflict within ourselves. It's no longer a fight between, or internal fight between, two aspects of how the mind operates. It's having the two working seamlessly together. So we learn to trust our intuition and allow that kind of information to be presented to us. We don't forget to use logic and reason at the same time, so that whatever choice of action we choose to take based on the intuition presented to us has some solid reasoning behind it as well. So we don't just do something that is completely irrational at the same time. So it's embracing the intuition, also embracing the rational mind, and allowing the two to work together. And this also empowers our communication, so it allows us to better express ourselves in a more holistic way that embraces right brain imagery as well as left brain words and reasoning. So there's a lot going on this week, most of it involving the sun, as I said earlier. So if we use this as an opportunity to transform the sense of self through the shedding of the old and the dying to the old structures in life that don't belong in the next cycle of growth based on the goals we've set, we let go of the old ways of doing things, we embrace a more empowered perspective, and we shed any tendencies towards victimhood or procrastination to avoid doing what we know we should be doing. And it's facing that inner saboteur and transforming it through unconditional love, forgiveness of ourselves, and forgiveness of anyone else if we're holding on to any hurts from other people. And it's through forgiveness, love and compassion for ourselves and other people that we break free of the limited sense of self, embrace a more empowered sense of identity, which sets us up nicely for the next cycle of growth beginning from next Wednesday. So may this week bring you many new insights and opportunity to shed the old and make space in your life for new beginnings, and may it bring much illumination to your sense of self, so that you have a clear idea of who you are and what you wish to accomplish going forward. And may also be time for clearing out the fears that stop us from growing, and embrace the courage to take the actions starting next week in order to make our visions manifest in our own personal lives. So take care and be blessed.